Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the explosive developments set to unfold in Port Charles on Friday, November 7th. Fans of the iconic ABC soap are in for a roller coaster of deception, heartfelt confessions, and unexpected twists that could redefine relationships and unravel long-buried secrets across the town. As the drama intensifies, characters grapple with moral dilemmas, romantic uncertainties, and shadowy threats that promise to keep viewers glued to their screens, questioning every alliance and motive in this intricate web of intrigue. In the bustling corridors of General Hospital, Britt Westburn finds herself cornered by her own ambitions, approaching Portia Robinson with what she delicately describes as a teeny-tiny favor. But beneath Britt's calculated charm lies a request that could ripple through the medical staff like a seismic wave, potentially involving sensitive patient records or a covert alliance against a mutual foe. Portia, ever the compassionate yet shrewd doctor, might hesitate, recalling past betrayals that have tested her trust in colleagues like Britt, who has a history of navigating gray areas for personal gain. This interaction not only highlights Britt's resourcefulness, but also underscores the fragile trust within the hospital, where one small favor could escalate into a full-blown ethical crisis, forcing Portia to weigh her loyalty to her profession against the pull of old friendships forged in high-stakes environments. Meanwhile, Lucas Jones battles inner turmoil as doubts creep into his budding romance with Marco Rios, prompting him to seek solace from the ever-insightful Ava Jerome during a quiet moment at her gallery. Lucas confesses his fears that Marco might merely serve as a rebound from his tumultuous past with Brad Cooper, a relationship that left scars of abandonment and regret. Ava, drawing from her own experiences with love's unpredictable turns, think her rocky path with Sonny Corinthos gently probes deeper, sensing the genuine spark in Lucas's eyes when he speaks of Marco's kindness and shared vulnerabilities. She urges him to release the ghosts of yesteryear, arguing that clinging to Brad's memory only sabotages the chance for a deeper connection, perhaps even envisioning a future where Lucas and Marco build a stable home amid Port Charles chaos. This heartfelt exchange adds layers to Lucas's character arc, revealing how his journey from heartbreak to hope mirrors the show's timeless theme of redemption through vulnerability. The buzz around a potential returning face in Port Charles grows louder, with recent dialogues heavy on mentions of Brad Cooper, fueling speculation that he could dramatically re-enter the scene, perhaps crashing a key gathering or confronting Lucas directly about his new life. Brad's history as a schemer with ties to the mob and medical mishaps makes his comeback a powder keg, possibly intersecting with the hospital's ongoing crises or even linking to the enigmatic Veronica Ronnie Bard's surprise twist. Yet, the showrunners love misdirection, so this familiar figure might instead connect to a separate thread, like an old Quartermain rival or a long-lost relative surfacing amid family feuds. Whatever the case, this tease keeps the door open for explosive reunions that could shatter current dynamics, reminding fans why General Hospital excels at blending nostalgia with fresh chaos to heighten emotional stakes. Anna Devane's harrowing ordeal takes a chilling turn after her abduction, where a disembodied voice echoing Caesar Faison's sinister tone taunts her from the shadows of her captivity, blurring the lines between past nightmares and present peril. Is this truly the resurrection of Faison, the diabolical mastermind who once terrorized her world, or a clever impersonation designed to exploit Anna's deepest fears and fracture her resolve? As Felicia Scorpio dives into a fresh investigation on Thursday, perhaps tracking a string of mysterious disappearances, her sharp instincts could lead her to uncover Anna's absence, mobilizing a rescue effort that draws on their unbreakable sisterly bond forged through decades of espionage and loss. Felicia's role here amplifies the thriller elements, showcasing how her street-smart sleuthing contrasts with Anna's elite training, potentially leading to a high-octane pursuit through Port Charles' underbelly that exposes a larger conspiracy. Commissioner Jordan Ashford convenes a tense strategy meeting with Marco Rios and possibly Jen Sidwell, hashing out contingency measures to avert an impending disaster that threatens the community's fragile peace. Jordan, with her no-nonsense leadership honed from years battling corruption in the PCPD, outlines risks tied to Marco's enigmatic background and Sidwell's shadowy dealings, stressing the need for airtight alibis and escape routes. Marco, torn between his affections for Lucas and his secretive obligations, might reveal fragments of his double life, while Sidwell's calculating presence adds an undercurrent of suspicion, hinting at hidden agendas that could derail their plans. This session not only advances the plot's suspense, but also delves into themes of loyalty under pressure, illustrating how Jordan's strategic mind serves as the linchpin holding Port Charles Guardians together against encroaching darkness. Over in Jack Brennan's dimly lit office, Jocelyn Jacks receives her latest directive, plunging her deeper into a web of familial deceit as she's instructed to infiltrate Uncle Lucas's inner circle for intel on Marco. The mission demands she feign unwavering support while probing for details on Marco's loyalties and Sidwell's influence, a task that weighs heavily on Jocelyn's conscience given her close-knit Jack's family ties. Brennan, with his steely demeanor reminiscent of seasoned spies, counters her protests by emphasizing the high stakes of her chosen path in this clandestine world, where lies become second nature and personal bonds are collateral damage. Jocelyn's frustration boils over as she questions the endless cycle of betrayal, yet Brennan's unyielding push reveals his ulterior motives, leveraging her access to unearth Sidwell's operations, which could safeguard the town, but at the cost of Jocelyn's integrity. This subplot intensifies Jocelyn's growth, transforming her from impulsive teen to reluctant operative, while highlighting the moral ambiguities that define her arc. Marco Rios, in a moment of bold vulnerability, catches Lucas off guard with a proposal that could solidify their partnership, an invitation to cohabitate at the sprawling, Gothic Windermere estate, a place steeped in mystery and isolation overlooking Spoon Island. This life-altering query stems from Marco's desire to weave their lives together beyond stolen moments, proving his investment isn't fleeting but rooted in a vision of shared mornings and quiet evenings amid the estate's echoing halls. Lucas, however, grapples with the implications sharing space with the unpredictable Sidwell, abandoning his established routine, and fully committing after Brad's deceptions left him wary of grand gestures. The offer not only tests Lucas's readiness for permanence, but also enriches Marco's character, portraying him as a romantic risk-taker whose past, perhaps marked by losses in his own family saga, drives this leap toward stability in Port Charles' turbulent landscape. At the cozy confines of Bobby's Diner, a pivotal family huddle unfolds as Brooke Lynn Quartermain, Ned Quartermain, and Michael Corinthos share a table laden with coffee and unspoken tensions, only for Giovanni Joe Palmieri to make a timely entrance that shifts the atmosphere. Brooklyn, ever the orchestrator of Quartermain maneuvers, subtly alludes to enlisting Gio's talents for a delicate operation, possibly tied to corporate espionage or mending fractured alliances within ELQ. Joe, fresh from navigating the icy dynamics at the Quartermain mansion, misinterprets the plea as concern over his progress with the formidable Tracy, reassuring them with a confident smile that bridges are being rebuilt. His poise, honed from youthful wisdom beyond his years, diffuses immediate worries, yet hints at deeper involvement in the clan's power plays, adding a fresh dynamic to the Quartermain legacy of ambition and reconciliation. Finally, Tracy Quartermain, in a rare display of humility, beckons Veronica Ronnie Bard to the opulent Quartermain household, where prickly words give way to a grudging olive branch and apology that surprises even the most jaded observers. Influenced by Gio's earnest counsel to prioritize unity over ego, Tracy recognizes her role as the family's steadfast anchor, swallowing pride to heal rifts that have festered through boardroom battles and personal vendettas. Ronnie, caught off balance by this transformation in the usually imperious matriarch, might initially bristle, but common ground emerges in their mutual admiration for Gio's maturity, perhaps sharing anecdotes of his insightful interventions that echo the younger generation's potential to heal old wounds. This reconciliation not only softens Tracy's edges, but also weaves Ronnie deeper into the Quartermain tapestry, setting the stage for collaborative schemes that could safeguard their empire against external threats, all while exploring the redemptive power of forgiveness in Port Charles high society drama. Next, we dive deep into the electrifying rumors swirling around Port Charles. Could the notorious Caesar Faison still be pulling strings from the shadows, very much alive and scheming? Fans of General Hospital have long speculated about the undead twists in this soap opera world, and Faison's apparent demise back in 2018 feels more like a dramatic pause than a final curtain call. Picture this: Jason Morgan, the unflinching enforcer, pumps bullets into Faison during a tense confrontation at the docks, leaving what seemed like a lifeless body amid the crashing waves and flickering warehouse lights. We all mourned or cheered the end of his villainous chapter, but his shadow lingered like fog over the harbor, manifesting through his cunning offspring who inherited his thirst for chaos. Faison's empire of deceit didn't crumble. It evolved, with his son Peter August stepping into the spotlight as the new architect of turmoil, targeting innocent lives with surgical precision. Peter's rampage hit hardest at the heart of Port Charles, ensnaring Maxie Jones in a web of betrayal that shattered her world and tested every bond she held dear. Remember the anguish as Peter, once thought to be an ally, unveiled his true colors, manipulating secrets from Faison's dark playbook to sabotage Maxie's happiness and drag her into a nightmare of deception. His actions echoed his father's legacy, a blend of intellectual brilliance and ruthless ambition that left scars on the community, from stolen identities to fractured families. Yet, in the soap's tradition of resurrection, recent plot developments have reignited the flames of doubt, making fans whisper that Peter might not be the only ghost from the past ready to resurface. The return of Britt Westburn and Nathan West from what we believed were permanent graves has sent shockwaves through the fanbase, prompting a frenzy of theories about familial reunions no one saw coming. Britt, the sharp-tongued doctor with a complicated lineage, bursts back onto the scene, looking fiercer than ever, her blonde locks framing a face etched with unresolved grudges and hidden agendas. Nathan, her steadfast brother, materializes alongside her, his presence a beacon of loyalty amid the brewing storm. But his unexplained revival raises eyebrows. How did they cheat death when forensics and funerals suggested otherwise? This duo's comeback isn't just a nostalgic nod. It's a catalyst for speculation as viewers dissect every glance and conversation for clues about larger machinations at play. Could their reemergence signal that the Faison bloodline is regrouping, with Peter August lurking just beyond the frame, waiting to reclaim his spot in the family dynasty? Delving deeper, the Cold Fusion Project, Faison's audacious blueprint for global domination through advanced energy tech laced with espionage, demands expertise that points straight back to his inner circle. This isn't your average scientific endeavor. Imagine fusion reactors not just powering cities, but weaponized for covert ops, blending cutting-edge physics with old-school villainy. Britt, with her medical background and insider knowledge of her father's twisted experiments, emerges as a prime suspect for aiding the revival. Her skills in biochemistry potentially unlocking the project's biochemical safeguards. But Nathan? His role feels off-kilter, like a puzzle piece from a different set. Perhaps he's been brainwashed or coerced into compliance, his moral compass clashing with the family's darker impulses. As November sweeps heat up, the timing couldn't be more ominous. Sweeps months thrive on bombshells, and a Faison family reunion could explode the canvas with betrayals and high-stakes chases through abandoned labs. Shifting focus to the World Security Bureau, Station Chief Jack Brennan's relentless probing into Faison's lingering operations hints at layers of intrigue that go far beyond routine investigations. Brennan, with his steely gaze and no-nonsense demeanor, has been grilling contacts about the Cold Fusion remnants, from encrypted files in Zurich vaults to shadowy suppliers in Eastern Europe. On the surface, he's the dedicated agent piecing together a puzzle. But whispers among fans suggest he's neck-deep in the muck, maybe funneling resources to keep the project afloat or orchestrating an elaborate sting to ensnare Anna Devane. Anna, the iconic spy with a history tangled in Fazen's web, becomes the perfect bait. Picture a trap set in a fog-shrouded European chateau, where old flames and new threats collide in a dance of deception. Brennan's questions might mask his complicity, turning the WSB from guardian to co-conspirator in this escalating saga. Then there's Jen Sidwell, the enigmatic figure whose involvement in the Fazen saga has fans theorizing wildly about his true identity and motives. Sidwell isn't portrayed as a casual admirer. He's embedded in the tech underbelly, brokering deals for rare isotopes and quantum processors that scream cold fusion ties. A burgeoning theory posits that Sidwell isn't just a disciple, he could be Fazen in disguise, his features altered by black market surgery, voice modulated to evade recognition. Sure, Natalia Ramirez, Marco Rios, and Allison Blaze Rogers swear by his alibi, vouching for sightings during the death timeline. But what if those were deep fakes or doubles? Imagine Sidwell as a phoenix from Fazen's ashes, coordinating from a hidden bunker stocked with holographic decoys and AI-assisted alibis. His proximity to the action fuels doubts. Is he the puppet master or merely a pawn in a grander game? Connections to other Port Charles power players add fuel to the fire, especially speculations tying Sidwell or Fazen to unlikely hideouts like Spoon Island. Spoon Island, that gothic isle of secrets with its crumbling manor and underground tunnels, has hosted more resurrections than a horror flick. Think of the Casa Dini's lairs and their endless plots. Could Ava Jerome, or even a reformed Nicola's Casa Dini, be sheltering Fazen, unaware of the viper in their midst? Ava, ever the survivor, might strike a deal for protection against her own enemies, while Nicholas's mysterious absences make him a suspect in concealing the villain. This island sanctuary could house not just Fazen, but prototype cold fusion devices, humming with unstable energy that threatens to light up the night sky. Yet, if Caesar Fazen is indeed clawing his way back from the brink, why rely so heavily on his progeny to shoulder the load, especially when trust was never his strong suit? Fazen always viewed his children as tools, Britt to independent, Nathan to principled, and Peter a flawed mirror of his own malice. Their returns might serve as diversions, drawing heat while Fazen orchestrates from afar, perhaps in a lavish exile villa overlooking the Mediterranean, sipping cognac as monitors flicker with Port Charles feeds. He loathed dependency, often berating them for failures, like Peter's botched schemes that ended in Felicia Scorpio's decisive takedown. This paternal disdain adds a psychological layer. Are the kids pawns in a redemption ploy, or bait to lure Fazen into overconfidence? Ultimately, all roads in this theory lead back to Peter August as the heir apparent, poised to eclipse even his father's notoriety if he steps out of the shadows. Peter, with his journalist facade masking a killer's instinct, disappointed Fazen by faltering under pressure, but resurrection could forge him anew hardened, vengeful, and ready to weaponize the cold fusion tech for personal vendettas. Imagine him allying with Britt for a sibling showdown against Nathan's resistance, or seducing Maxie back into his orbit for leverage. As sweeps unfold, Peter's emergence could shatter alliances, ignite romances laced with lies, and propel General Hospital into its most explosive chapter yet, where family ties bind tighter than chains. Stay tuned. Port Charles, the dead aren't done rising. Next, we will learn about the explosive November sweeps drama unfolding in Port Charles, where loyalties shatter, secrets ignite, and high-stakes gambles could redefine everything for our favorite characters. Nina Reeves' bold gambit unfolds. Nina Reeves has always been a force of unyielding maternal instinct, and as the November sweeps heat up, her determination to shield her daughter Willow Tate from the shadows of Pentonville's harsh reality knows no bounds. Picture this: Nina, with her sharp journalistic eye honed from years at Crimson, pores over case files late into the night, her mind racing through every possible angle to exonerate Willow from the lingering suspicions in the Who Shot Drew investigation. She's not just willing to bend the truth, she's prepared to reshape it entirely, perhaps by planting subtle evidence that points fingers at overlooked suspects like a shadowy figure from Drew's military past who vanished after a cryptic phone call. Inventing alibis or even staging anonymous tips to the PCPD could be her next move, drawing from her own history of bold deceptions that once toppled empires in the fashion world. But if Willow's predicament escalates, with rumors swirling of a prison riot or a vengeful inmate targeting her, Nina might cross an unthinkable line, confessing to a second shooting of Congressman Drew Quartermaine herself. In her fierce logic, this act would shatter any doubt about Willow's innocence, proving that a relentless killer still lurks in Port Charles' underbelly, forcing detectives like Dante Falconeri to redirect their manhunt. This isn't mere protection, it's a calculated storm, where Nina's love transforms into a weapon, potentially alienating allies like Sonny Corinthos while forging uneasy pacts with unlikely informants who whisper about hidden motives tied to Drew's congressional ambitions. As viewers, we can't help but speculate, will Nina's extraordinary measures save Willow, or drag her deeper into a web of lies that ensnares the entire Quartermaine legacy? The tension builds as Nina's resolve hardens, reminding us why she's the queen of dramatic reinvention in Port Charles. Portia's tangled web of secrets deepens. Portia Robinson's pregnancy revelation continues to ripple through the corridors of General Hospital like a seismic aftershock, forcing her to navigate a labyrinth of emotional minefields and fractured relationships that could erupt into full-blown chaos by mid-November. Already grappling with the uncertainty of fatherhood between Curtis Ashford, her devoted husband, whose trust she strained through past omissions, and the enigmatic Isaiah Gannon, a newcomer whose intense connection during a vulnerable moment complicates everything, Portia faces mounting pressure to disclose the truth. Jordan Ashford, ever the astute commissioner, with her no-nonsense demeanor shaped by years policing Port Charles' darkest corners, didn't hesitate to voice her gut feelings to Curtis during a tense confrontation at the Ashford family home, leaving Portia cornered into admitting her condition amid tears and accusations. Fast forward a few months, and the drama intensifies with the prospect of a definitive paternity test. Imagine the sterile lab scene where Portia clutches the results, her hands trembling as she weighs the fallout. If Isaiah turns out to be the father, it could ignite a powder keg between him and Curtis, two men whose budding rivalry over community initiatives at the YMCA already simmers with unspoken jealousy. A physical clash in the hospital parking lot, fists flying under the glow of sodium lights, seems inevitable, pulling in bystanders like TJ Ashford to mediate the melee. Meanwhile, Portia's dynamic with Jordan teeters on the edge of outright hostility, a cataclysmic showdown in the GH break room, where whispered barbs about betrayal escalate into shouts echoing down the halls, threatening Portia's career as chief of staff. Adding layers to this dilemma, Portia might confide in close friend Epiphany Johnson for solace, only to uncover Isaiah's hidden agenda tied to a long-buried medical scandal from his past, forcing her to question if this pregnancy is a blessing or a curse. Through it all, Portia's internal turmoil battling guilt from her affair's origins amid the stress of running a hospital highlights her evolution from a secretive surgeon to a woman confronting the raw consequences of her choices, setting the stage for redemptive arcs or devastating betrayals that will captivate fans for weeks. The haunting pursuit of Caesar Faison escalates, the relentless quest to uncover whether the infamous Caesar Faison lingers in the shadows or rests eternally in infamy propels Anna Devane into perilously uncharted territory, with whispers of kidnapping and resurrection plots thickening the November air in Port Charles. Anna, the seasoned WASB operative whose instincts have thwarted global threats from Vienna to the docks, refuses to accept the official narrative of Faison's demise, his brain preserved in a jar of formaldehyde after that fateful confrontation years ago, especially now that his grown children, Henrik and Britta, have clawed their way back from supposed graves in a twist that reeks of elaborate staging. Her suspicions peak during a clandestine meeting at the old Faison hideout, a derelict warehouse by the waterfront where she uncovers faded documents hinting at cryogenic experiments funded by obscure European syndicates. Enter the Enigma of C, the elusive overlord behind the Five Poppies operation that smuggled life-saving meds to Britt Westburn in her final days. Could this be Caesar himself, evading death through black market tech that mimics sci-fi resurrection? Or perhaps a cunning imposter like Caesar's estranged brother, a chemist named Claude who shares his flair for deception and harbors a grudge against the Cassadinis? Anna's probe deepens when she tails a suspicious courier through foggy back alleys, only to trigger an ambush and vision her cornered in a rain-slicked alley, grappling with masked assailants who drag her into a waiting van, her gun skittering across the pavement as she fights back with trademark precision. This danger isn't isolated, it ties into broader threads, like faint radio signals intercepted by Felicia Scorpio suggesting Phaeton's network is reactivating sleeper agents embedded in Port Charles elite circles. As Anna pieces together clues, perhaps a locket engraved with C found in Britt's old effects, evoking uncomfortable memories of forced alliances or vulnerability heightens, potentially drawing in Valentine Cassadini for a reluctant alliance forged in shared history. The search isn't just about survival, it's a psychological thriller unraveling Phaeton's legacy of manipulation, challenging Anna to discern ally from enemy in a city where the dead refuse to stay buried, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats for revelations that could upend the spy game's fragile balance. Valentine and Carly's vengeful scheme takes flight. Valentine Cassadini and Carly press forward with their intricate revenge blueprint against the cunning Jack Brennan, transforming a high-security transfer into a symphony of calculated chaos that promises fireworks across state lines. As Valentine prepares for extradition from the fortified walls of Steinmauer to a stateside facility like Pentonville, the duo's plot hinges on exploiting every vulnerability in the system. Carly, leveraging her Metro Court connections and unyielding grit from years surviving Corinthos family wars, coordinates diversions from afar, perhaps bribing a low-level guard with promises of insider scoops on Brennan's laundering empire. Spoilers hint at a daring escape mid-transport, but not in the skies. After the plane touches down on U.S. soil amid stormy turbulence that masks the initial handover, Valentine seizes a moment of confusion during the vehicle convoy through rural backroads, slipping restraints with a hidden tool smuggled in by a loyal Cassadini operative. His motivation burns hotter than ever, armed with classified intel on Phaeton's final endeavor clandestine bioweapons project blending old WSP tech with modern AI, involving collaborators from the Pikeman Group who lurk in Port Charles power structures. Valentine can't protect Charlotte or expose the threats from incarceration. Imagine the getaway, a high-speed chase weaving through construction zones, Valentine commandeering a nondescript sedan, while Carly monitors via encrypted feeds, her fingers flying over a laptop in a dimly lit safe house. This alliance, born from mutual disdain for Brennan's manipulations that once ensnared them both, adds inventive twists like Valentine decoding an encrypted flash drive revealing Brennan's ties to the Phaeton revival, forcing Carly to confront how deeply this vendetta intertwines with her own family's secrets. Yet risks abound: betrayal from within Valentine's circle, or Brennan's countermeasures deploying drones for surveillance, turning their revenge into a pulse-pounding narrative of redemption and reckoning. As these threads weave tighter, Valentine's freedom becomes the spark that could illuminate Port Charles' darkest conspiracies, proving once again that in General Hospital, vengeance is the ultimate equalizer.